Hey everybody, so it's Britt from Evolve, and I wanted to talk today about a really interesting topic to help pet owners understand a little bit more about how to navigate their pet's behavior. So how do we know if our pet is sick? I have many videos that I'm going to be sharing and some that I've already shared about what causes our pets to be sick and how to make them better. And I have tons of this information in my at-home holistic pet course as well, which I'll link down below for you with literally everything you need to know about what to feed your pets, how to navigate vet visits, how to travel with them, whether or not to microchip them, all the common questions, how to heal virtually everything that they have, how to fix their microbiome, how to optimize their entire lifestyle. What if they get bit by a scorpion? I mean, all that information's in there, like all the crazy stuff that we could ever think about with pets. I have all that stuff in that course for you guys for easy, accessible information. But I'm not going to be talking so much about solutions in this video. I'm going to be sharing with you the signs and symptoms to look out for if your pet is ill, okay? And I'll do other videos where I talk about serious illnesses versus mild illnesses, but this is just like how to know if there's something wrong with your pet. These are the common signs and why they happen. The first is not eating. So this is really interesting, but one of the ways to know how serious your pet's injury or illness is if they stop eating. The more sick an animal is, the more likely it is to stop eating. That means there's something a bit deeper going on, like an infection or something that they're really trying to heal on a deeper level. If an animal, let's say, injured its leg, but they're still eating, then it means they're not in that much pain and that they're probably going to mend pretty easily at home. So not eating is one of the first very obvious signs. If your animal suddenly doesn't have an appetite, that's a sign that something could be up with them. It doesn't mean it's an emergency or a panic or you need to rush them to the vet. There's something serious going on. You'll want to keep an eye on how many days or how often the pet doesn't eat. Like if it goes on and on many, many days, then yes, you'll want to look into causes. But I'll do different videos on that, even how long pets can fast. Like all those topics will be covered in other videos, so stay tuned for that. Another sign is actually lethargy. So lethargy is like the same with us. It's when we're feeling like tired and lazy and distant and not really engaging with our owners or not, kind of behaving the way that we normally would in terms of our energy level. So lethargy could be like the pet is depressed about something, or the pet has maybe an injury, or they're in pain, or they're feeling discomfort, or they're fighting something. So their body is very tired. They seem a little listless, a little kind of like, just low. So that's a sign that there could be something going on. So if you notice that your pet is feeling a little bit low, you could kind of check in and see, did they eat properly? Was there something they came in contact with? Like, did they just get back from a vet visit and get given a new medication, or they're having a reaction to something? Like what might have happened in the 24 hours prior that could have resulted in this kind of lethargy compared to normal. So just identifying causes around where we see these symptoms. Sleeping a lot. So sometimes pets, especially if they're fighting something, they'll sleep a lot. And sometimes this worries the owners, but the human body and the pet's body, the animal body, the living being heals itself when it's sleeping. That's our repair and regeneration, right? We get tired, we use our body all day, and then we sleep, we repair, we restore. There's literally stem cell DNA restoration that's happening, at the deepest cellular level. And this is what makes us feel refreshed and able to wake up after an 8-hour sleep or whatever it is. So same with an animal. If an animal's sick, you don't want to wake them up and rush them to the vet. If they're sleeping, you want to let them sleep. You want to give their body a chance to heal itself. So if your pet is acting super sleepy and it's not because of a medication or anything else, they're just really abnormally tired, it's a sign they're probably fighting something, or they're in pain, or there's something going on that their body needs a little extra time and care to just rest. So giving them the space to do that is really, really powerful. But definitely sleeping a lot more than usual is a sign that they could be fighting something. And that's actually a good sign, because if we're really, really in pain, we can't sleep. If we're able to sleep, it's not usually super serious. This one could be more a sign that your pet literally just needs a bit of time to get its immune system up or something. Hiding. Hiding is a sign that's a little bit more serious with pets and usually is related to a lot of pain. So if your pet is hiding behind a door, crouching under something, I don't mean hiding you bring home a new kitten and they're scared, so they're hiding. I don't mean normal pet behaviors or a new puppy or a dog or something like that. But I mean your pet is always really friendly and totally fine, and you've known them for years or months and they're all good, and then all of a sudden something happens and they start hiding quite a bit, and you're looking for them, you can't find them. When animals are hiding, they're usually in a lot of pain. Okay, so this could be a sign that the animal is more seriously sick. Like this could be something like kidney stones or just more serious illness where, or maybe they ate something that was really bad. They're not feeling good, you know? So keeping an eye on it, making sure that they are, if a cat is or a dog is hiding, make sure that they're peeing and pooping properly. Make sure that you notice like if they're eating or not eating, pay attention to whether they're sleeping or not. If they've been like more than 24 or like, 30 something hours without urinating, it could be a kidney problem and that's why they're hiding. It might be important to get them checked out and stuff like that. But that's kind of the main thing. So hiding is a little bit more of a serious sign. It's not a panic. And usually animals can hide for like a nice period of time without an emergency ensuing, but it is a sign to watch out for. And unless the behavior corrects itself, like within 12 to 24 hours and they come out and they do their thing, then it might be worth looking into. Limping is obviously a sign of some kind of injury, but it doesn't have to be a physical injury. It could be a nerve problem. It could be a neurological problem. It could be many things. But if your pet suddenly, like if you notice there's no actual injury on your animal, but they're suddenly limping or their leg or their arm seems limp, this could be a sign that there's something more serious going on. So paying attention to that. Now, if your pet had like an accident or fought with another animal and they're limping, or they slipped on a tree and cut their paw, then that's very normal behavior and not necessarily an emergency. And I have tons of information on how to treat injury or infection in the at-home holistic pet course, like natural antibiotics to use at home, natural sprays, things you can do, like all that stuff is really helpful, even if they come in contact with something that irritates their skin or their fur or whatever. Even like natural flea remedies, I mean, everything is in there. So I'll put that down below if you guys want more information on that. But yeah, limping is something to keep an eye on, and then to look into whether or not it's a physical injury or if there might be something internal going on. Something internal going on is more serious. It could be a one-off. I'm a big fan of watching pets' behavior. Like your pet might limp for a couple hours because they, landed in a bad way when they jumped somewhere and you didn't see it. And it looks like there's no injury, but it could just be something like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean like an emergency vet visit. It mainly means that keep an eye on it, basically. And if they actually have a physical injury, then limping is relatively normal. And unless it's a very serious injury, like really they're bleeding out, like there's a huge scar tissue, clearly something's mangled, then it's an emergency. But if it's just like a cut, a scratch, then I have tons of at-home remedies for that in the course down below. So yeah, moving in a weird way or acting off in any way. So it could be like moving in a sly, sneaky way, like when pets just like kind of recoil in like a strange way, or just trying to squeeze themselves into weird spaces, or when they seem really like anxious and their behavior is just completely radically different than their normal behavior, and that persists for many hours, or worse, many days, then that can be a sign that there's something maybe a little bit more serious going on. A change in behavior that's just kind of here and there could just be personality as well if it's a new pet. So this one, if your pet's been around for a long time, you know what to expect with them, and there's a sudden change in their personality or behavior, that's more something to pay attention to. It's not necessarily something to action immediately. It could be really they just don't feel great that day. They ate something iffy antsy, their gut's feeling a little weird, they're tired that day. There could be other things as well. Remember, our pets live inside the house with us, so they're also sensitive and susceptible to the things that we come in contact with that might actually tax our system too, right? Like colds and things that go around, or the AC was on for too long and it's like blowing in too much fungus and we need to change the filters. They're breathing that air too. Or they might have slept on your laptop all night, and that's a lot of radiation for an animal. We don't really notice those things, but like just the same way we're not going to feel good if we sit in front of a computer all day and never get in nature, our pets won't either, or maybe our pets are sleeping in a room where the lights are on all night. So they're not really like producing that melatonin and getting that deep, important rest. So similar to humans and human health, it's important for circadian rhythm to be balanced, for the diet and the nutrition to be correct, for all of those things for a pet to be healthy. So if a pet's behavior is suddenly different or strange, just check in with their sleep habits, take note of whether or not they're eating normally and like other things to see how much of their habits are more normal. And if they're avoiding everything they normally do and they're completely acting bizarre and that lasts for a while, then it's worth taking them to a vet to kind of get an idea what's going on. Sudden aggression, an animal suddenly being aggressive. This could be a sign of trauma. It could be a sign of infection. It could be a sign of injury. It could be a sign of many things. It could be like a neurological issue. If it's just this is a little bit, I guess, more dangerous if it's dogs than cats. You know, cats, even if they're a bit aggressive, they tend to be a little bit more skittish of humans in general. But dogs can actually cause quite a bit of injury if they're very aggressive. And sometimes certain dogs, they will have like an undiagnosed neurological condition or something. But if your animal starts acting suddenly, abnormally, very aggressive, this is something to watch out for and keep an eye on. And if the behavior continues and it wasn't just like a one-off, then you could consider like behavioral therapy for your dog. But first, maybe get them checked out, make sure there's nothing neurological going on or, you know, that could be causing that. For your cat, it could be jealousy, or it's harder to train cats. So it could be like a jealousy issue or a health issue as well. So just keep an eye on it. If aggressive behavior just keeps happening, it could also be food allergy. That's another thing that I talk about in other videos about nutrition. When animals are eating something that really inflames their central nervous system, which happens a lot from commercial food, and when they're not eating their like biological, natural, you know, nature given diet, they could end up with deficiencies, inflammation, allergies to like the flavoring agents that are put in commercial kibble or commercial wet food or whatever it is that we're feeding them. And so that could create like aggressive personalities as well. So keep that in mind. Change in behavior, we sort of touched base on that, but anything really abnormal, like your pet starts like running into walls, or just like, you know, having seizures, or just sudden behaviors or actions that really are out of the normal, like they're shaking a lot, they're panting a lot, and it's not very hot, and it keeps going and going. Anything like that is worth taking note of and checking to see if it lasts more than a few hours. It's worth looking into. I have a lot of this information in the At-Home Holistic Pet course as well, like how to tell what's safe and what isn't for animals, like when to act, what we can do, all that stuff. But yeah, basically like that's a sign that there's something going on. It could be more serious, so keep an eye on it. If it persists past like many hours or many days, then it's worth looking into as well. And then the last one, I mean, there's many signs that your pet could be sick, but these are the most common ones. The last is excessive water intake. If your pet is drinking excessive water, this is really common when they are allergic to their food or eating a food that has synthetic flavoring agents and really synthetic salts like MSG or iodized table salt or poor quality salts that they put in commercial pet food. This could be really causing a lot of inflammation in your pet's intestine, making them really thirsty. So it's almost like they have a kind of diabetes in a way, like where their body is just not handling the diet very well. Similar to us when we have a lot of thirst, it's a sign we ate something that was either too salty, too sugary, dehydrating, not that great for us, inflammatory, and our body is trying to take in a lot more water to kind of like dilute the toxic substance and make our bodies like healthier and able to kind of like flush out whatever is unnecessary and needs to be moved out of the system. So it's pretty similar in animals as well. But sudden excessive thirst or perpetual excessive thirst, the first thing you want to do is change the diet. I talk all about exactly what to feed all of your pets, kittens, puppies, cats, and dogs in the At-Home Holistic Pet course. Easy, inexpensive, effortless stuff that is going to literally make them thrive, like make their personalities sweeter, make them more affectionate. They're going to feel good. They're not going to get sick. Like, it's just amazing. But and save you so much money at the vet. Like, if you don't have a sick pet, you almost never have to go to the vet. It's amazing. Like, their bodies just heal themselves. They never get anything except minor stuff. You have like a happy, healthy pet all the time. You don't have to deal with any of that stress or worry. Like, it's amazing. So yeah, definitely their nutrition is important, but excessive thirst is like the nutrition probably needs to change. And unless if they're already eating an optimal diet, it could be other things like they came in contact with a chemical, some medication or some kind of medical intervention that they're taking is really not working well for their body. It could be a sign the kidneys are not working well. It could be a sign of many things. But if they're just excessively thirsty one day, they ran around at the beach, they drank too much salt water in the ocean and got a little dehydrated, they peed a lot, they had a lot of diarrhea for whatever reason, like they ate something that was off and that could have taken a lot of water out of their body and now they're just catching up. up. They tried to eat something new. They ate a little more human food than they're used to. Like, I mean, your food, like your salty steak from the restaurant or whatever. It could be some of that stuff. But if it's persistent behavior and they're drinking a really obscene amount of water or an abnormal amount of water all of a sudden and nothing has changed with their diet or their intake, that's worth watching and noting as well. And if it really persists over time and modifications to the diet don't like get better, then you may consider that there might be something going on with them and to get them seen. So I really hope that this video helped you understand a little bit more about your pet's behavior. I did want to close by saying that we have the tendency to really panic, and I say this in other videos as well, because our pets can't talk to us. They can't just be like, hey mom or dad, like I'm not feeling good because of this reason, you know, like I went in the closet and I, you know, played too much and now I'm tired and I ate this weird plant. Because they can't tell us what's going on, sometimes we don't really know how to interpret what's going on with them. It's the same with babies. Like, it's more stressful to figure out what a baby wants than just a child that can speak and express themselves and say like, my stomach hurts. So we have the tendency to be really anxious. So it's super important to like have that knowledge at the click of a fingertip and to be able to like look up things that are happening and to see what the options you have at home and really like to know next steps. So that's why I created the Animalistic Pet course for you guys and made it like so inexpensive. Literally, I wanted this to be like a household product that every single person could have so that pet owners could feel really confident. You know, I remember so many times before I knew any of this stuff, before I worked in like at vet clinics and before I did this research, before I worked as a chronic illness specialist and chronic disease reversal expert in this field for humans as well, I didn't know about what optimal health was for living beings. You know, I didn't know enough about it. So I was feeding my pets commercial kibble and taking them to the vet for antibiotics and doing all the typical stuff that like can actually be really harmful for their nutrition and their gut health. And I didn't know all the stuff I know now, but now that I know those things, like nothing stresses me out with my pets. You know, like if they're injured or if there's a problem, like I always kind of know what's worth taking them for an emergency visit or what I can just handle at home. And it is amazing. I have been blown away with the intensity of stuff that pets over the years, not just my own, but people that I've actually assisted in healing their pets, people I've like pets that I've personally healed for friends and family and other things, people that have seen amazing results with this course. I mean, I'm amazed at how unbelievably, amazingly powerful pets' bodies are at healing themselves from things that I like blow my mind. So yeah, I'm really happy and excited to share that information with you. So if you want to feel really confident and empowered in being a pet owner and not have all that stress of like not knowing what's going on and you really want to understand your pet, this is a very amazing course to try because it's like very short videos, condensed information. It doesn't take a long time to get through it. You can look up anything you want on there and almost anything you can think of is covered in there. So I really hope that helps. I'm wishing everybody a really beautiful day and I will talk to you guys soon.